just didn't look why I should be on it. Yes, he was. And I was
Welcome, everybody. This is a grand sight. We usually go into withdrawals of loneliness at our meetings. So to have this room nearly full with people is a wonderful thing. I apologize that you can't social distance, but we're glad that you're here very much. We'll begin tonight by having an opening that'll be presented by Barbara Tidwell, and then we'll have a color guard ceremony by our Sheriff's Department.
I'd like to give my thoughts in the order of a prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful to be gathered here in this great free country. We're grateful also to live in this great valley and to enjoy the blessings that we have here. We're grateful to be able to serve in our community. We're grateful especially for those who are serving us in the way of the forces that protect us each and every day. And we're grateful for these people that are here that we can honor this night. We're grateful, Heavenly Father, for the choices and the freedoms that are ours. We pray, Heavenly Father, that we would honor our freedoms and use them to make wise decisions, that we would be able to do what is best for the people of this valley and the people of this county. We pray as leaders that we would make good decisions and that we would be able to be guided and know what to do in all of our actions. We're grateful for life. We're grateful for thy hand in establishing this great country, and pray that we would honor those who have gone before. And this is our prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Honor guard, attend, hook. Will the audience please rise? Honor guard, forward, march. Face. Post. Present arms. Will the audience please repeat after me the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms. Face. Forward, march. The audience may be seated.
Thank you so very much. And it's nice to see so many from our Sheriff's Department here. And I might add, not with a red light flashing in my rearview mirror. So we appreciate you being here very much. We need to approve our agenda for this evening. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, also the minutes of our meeting of September 8th. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
Move to approve as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let me just mention that we are missing two of our council members tonight. Gordon Zillis is in Alaska catching salmon for us, we hope. And John White's wife had some surgery today, so she's recovering, and he might come in late, but we're not going to hold up the meeting for that. We wish her well. Okay, first on the agenda, we have the report of our county executive, Craig Butters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. By way of appointments, I do have 2 appointments to the Cache County Boundary Commission. These appointments will be for an initial term that will be determined by drawing lots by the members of that commission. We are redoing the makeup of the commission now to put us in conformance with the state code. And so those 2 that will represent the county will be, I'm recommending David Erickson, our council member, as one of the elected officials, and Kathleen Howell, our county assessor, as the other.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve David Erickson and Kathleen Howell to the Boundary Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, thank you. And we do have the financial reports on your iPad so that you could take a look at that. If you have any questions, please get with me. And other items, we have had an offer from JUB and Zan Murray to tour the road facility once again. We did that earlier this spring. A lot has happened since then. And there's another facility on the north end of the valley by Richmond that we could also tour. So if the county council would like to do that, I'll be happy to set up a time when we can do that before the snow flies.
I would like to.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So would I.
Okay, we'll put together a tour of that then. Our county emergency medical services update. Of course, since Logan is pulling out of the SIMS, the Cache County Emergency Medical Services Organization, as of the end of this year, December 31st, 2020, we are working with the communities on the south end of the county to establish a new EMS organization overseen by the county, and we have not been able to come to an agreement with Smithfield City, and as per the email that I sent you, they will most likely have the license for the north end of the valley to provide those services on the north end of the valley. So that will be effective the 1st of January in 2021. Highway 30 project here in the valley, they are doing the right-of-way, they are acquiring right-of-way for the widening of the road. And I have been in contact with an appraiser for UDOT for a couple of parcels. One of them is in front of our sheriff's department. Another one is farther out on Valley View Highway. And so they are moving forward with the right-of-way acquisition, and hopefully construction will begin early next spring on that project. Our Council of Governments are in the process. We're not meeting again till October to finalize the prioritization of those projects. I believe we had 10 projects apply, so I will get that information to you. I believe you did get an email of those projects, so you are informed a little bit more than you have been in the past about what those projects are. So if any of you have any concerns about any of those projects or would like to offer an opinion of how the county should vote or should support those, I'd be happy to hear, because I do have a vote on those projects. And our County Economic Development Director, that position has been closed. We do have 10 applicants that we're reviewing. We've narrowed that to 5 individuals, and we'll be doing interviews on the 29th of September. All these 5 I feel are very qualified individuals, and we have a selection committee that's gone through them and ranked them. So that concludes my report, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you very much for all you do. Okay. We have a couple of items of special interest, 3 of them actually. Appointment of a Cache County Clerk Auditor. And let me begin that by reading a letter that was sent to me on Saturday, September 19th. The Cache County Republican Party convened a special election to replace retired County Clerk Auditor Jill Zollinger. The County Central Committee, the governing body for the Cache GOP, in accordance with Utah Code and our party bylaws, selected Jess Bradfield to serve the remainder of the current term of the office. Therefore, we humbly submit Jess Bradfield to the Cache County Council for appointment to the position of Cache County Clerk Auditor on Tuesday, September 22nd at the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Cache County Council. Shelley Giddings, the County Party Vice Chair, will attend in my absence and to represent the Cache County Republican Party. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Sincerely, Chris Booth, Cache County GOP Chair. And just as a word, or an information item, when we got the notice of Jill retiring, we had, I think the Cache GOP had 20 days in order to meet and to elect someone to replace her. There was a process of people who submitted their names for consideration, and then the Central Committee met. There was 200 people there and voted on the individuals who had submitted their names, and Jess Bradfield came out as the victor in that special election. We then have now, once we got this letter, we have 5 days in order to appoint him as the new clerk auditor to fill the remainder of the term for Jill Zollinger. Otherwise, it would then revert to the governor for his appointment. So we are, at this time, needing to act on the appointment of our Cache County Clerk Auditor, Jess Bradfield, who has been elected by the Cache GOP to fill that post.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the nomination from the Cache County Republican Party and appoint Jess Bradfield as the new county clerk.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Jess, you are now appointed. Okay. We'd like to ask you to come forward and receive the oath of office for this position. Okay. Judge Bryant Galloway will be issuing this oath.
All right, we'll just go ahead and have you raise your arm, and just repeat after me. I, Jess W. Bradfield, having been appointed to the office of Cache County Clerk Auditor. Go ahead. So I hate to make you remember too much, so we'll do it in phases.
I, Jess W. Bradfield, having been appointed to the office of Cache County
Clerk Auditor, do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and the Constitution of the State of Utah, and I will discharge my duties with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you both very much.
Mr. Chairman, before we move on, could I just acknowledge Kim Gardner and the work she did to fill in for Jill in the interim, and how much we appreciated her and thank her for her.
Thank you. You beat me to the...
Oh, I'm sorry.
But no, you present it better than I would anyway, so thank you, Kim, very much. Okay, next is Sheriff's Office Employee Recognition. So Sheriff Jensen will turn the podium to you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman and County Council, we appreciate very much you giving us some time today to recognize the great works that my deputies have done in the community in their duties as law enforcement officers. We usually do this at our annual awards banquet in May during Law Enforcement Memorial Week, but because of COVID and other things, we weren't able to do that. But there's some very deserving awards, and they really need to be made public, and these deputies need to be honored for the work that they did. So we are very grateful that you let us do it here at your council meeting tonight. So with that, we'll get right to it. So could we have Deputy Travis Ricks and Jordan Hopkins step forward? And as they're coming up, I will read what the award's for. And because I love these guys so much, I'm actually going to put these things on, which I never wear in public, but I gotta say it right, so I'm gonna do it just for you.
Thanks.
Okay, Governor's 20. Receiving the Governor's Top 20 Award is a highly prestigious recognition. Hundreds of law enforcement officers throughout the state compete in multiple stressful and difficult stages of fire where speed, accuracy, and weapons handling, critical thinking are tested. Only the best performers earn the Governor's Top 20 Award, the best law enforcement shooters in the state. We are pleased to announce that the Cache County Sheriff's Office deputies Travis Ricks and Jordan Hopkins have been honored as the Utah Peace Officers Association Governor's Top 20 recipients for the 2019 shooting season. Deputy Ricks and Hopkins previously received the certificate signed by the Governor and the President of the UPOA. Congratulations, fellas. Nice job. We have Deputy Aney step forward. Outstanding Achievement Award for the jail. The Outstanding Achievement Award is presented to a deputy or staff member that excels in the performance of their duty and beyond that which is required during their daily course of work. They have exercised competence and have been able to inspire others to improve the quality of their work. Deputy Yaney is very respected by his co-workers and inmates alike. He has been credited for spearheading nearly 90% of all the jail searches, and his shift has been responsible for most state inmate property matters. He is proactive, completing extra duties in addition to his regular duties. Deputy Yaney has mentored or trained nearly every deputy in the control room operations. Deputy Yaney is the epitome of corrections professional. It is with great pleasure I award the Outstanding Achievement Award for the Jail Division to Deputy Philip Yaney. Okay, Outstanding Achievement Award for Patrol. We could have Sergeant Reed Tanner step forward. The Outstanding Achievement Award is presented to the deputy or staff member that excelled in the performance of their duty and beyond that which is required of during their daily course of work. They have exercised competence and have been able to inspire others to improve the quality of their work. On June 1st, 2019, Logan City Police Department received the call for a suicidal individual confronting an ex-girlfriend. Sergeant Reed Tanner, one of the first on scene. His plan of action to separate the girlfriend from the subject allowed us to focus on the suicidal individual. After a shot was fired, some of the less experienced officers ran towards the subject. Sergeant Tanner realized this was an officer safety issue and called them all back to ensure their well-being. Sergeant Tanner then formed an immediate action team and used cover and concealment to make his way into the home where the subject was found to have shot himself. Sergeant Tanner demonstrated superb leadership while keeping our community and his co-workers safe. It is with great pleasure I award the Outstanding Achievement Award for the Patrol Division to Sergeant Reed Tanner. Hey, retired Sergeant James Astle. I can say that now because, well, it's not really yet, so I can still call you Sergeant Astle for another 7 days. Outstanding Achievement Award, Support Services. The Outstanding Achievement Award is presented to a deputy or staff member that excel in the performance of their duty above and beyond that which is required during their daily course of work. They have exercised competence and have been able to inspire others to improve the quality of their work. On May 25th, 2019, a 5-year-old girl named Elizabeth Shelley was reported missing. The search quickly increased in size and scope. and over 5 days included hundreds of searchers in many square miles of area which needed to be searched. Sergeant Astle used his knowledge of the mission manager program used by search and rescue, bringing much needed order to the vast search. Sergeant Astle was able to keep searchers organized, show areas that needed to be searched, as well as documenting those areas that had been searched, keeping a huge project manageable. It is with great pleasure I award the Outstanding Achievement Award for the Sports Services Division to Sergeant James Astle. We'd have Pastor Don Woody please make his way forward. Citizen Award of Appreciation. The Citizen Award of Appreciation is presented to a private citizen who provided valuable service to the Cache County Sheriff's Office. This past year, our office has asked Pastor Don Woody to be our office chaplain. He has been part of planning and organizing our office peer support program for our deputies. He has taken part and offered his church as a training location for our local law enforcement, fire, and EMS as we do a valley-wide critical incident training and planning. He has taken part in our office swearing-in ceremonies, provided relief and treats to our staff during this pandemic, and has been a valuable resource to our office and our staff. We appreciate his willingness to be part of our organization and the resources he can and will be in times of crisis for our employees. It is with great pleasure I award the Citizens Award of Appreciation to Pastor Don Woody. Thank you very much. Have Deputies Smith, Moak, Workman, Merrill, and Carver please come forward. The Life Saving Award. The Life Saving Ribbon is presented to employees who are directly involved in saving the life of another, for actions, if not taken, would have most likely resulted in death of a person, whether on or off duty. On August 20th, 2019, an inmate rang into pod control and said that his cellmate was hanging himself. Deputies responded to this suicide in progress. These deputies observed an inmate hanging from the top bunk. Deputies quickly hoisted the inmate up, removing the sheet from around his neck, and the inmate's suicide attempt was unsuccessful. It is with great pleasure I award the life-saving ribbons to Deputies Smith, Moak, Workman, Merrill, and Carver. Thank you very much. Another life-saving award. We have Deputies Spence, Workman, Ballard, and Perry. Please step forward. The life-saving ribbon is presented to employees who were directly involved in the saving of a life of another for actions, if not taken, would have most likely resulted in the death of a person, whether on or off duty. On February 23rd, 2020, a suicidal individual was brought into the jail intake area. Because of his erratic, suicidal, and threatening behavior, he was placed into an intake cell to maintain his safety. This individual had managed to conceal a drawstring in the waistband of his sweatpants. He then tightly wound the string around his neck. Deputy Peary immediately recognized the seriousness of the incident and radioed for assistance. The inmate was then quickly and safely extracted from the cell, and deputies removed the drawstring. The individual was then secured and transported to the hospital via an ambulance. It is great pleasure I award the life-saving ribbons to Deputies Spence, Workman, Ballard, and Perry. Thank you very much. Hey, Deputy Brock Byington, if he could step forward. Again, another life-saving award. On January 26, 2020, Deputy Brock Byington was...
Stand behind me.
On January 26, 2020, Deputy Brock Byington was working in the jail booking area. After lunch had been served, an inmate in the booking area began pounding on the cell door. She was pointing towards her throat. Deputy Byington immediately recognized the inmate was choking. He successfully performed the Heimlich maneuver, dislodging the obstruction, and she began breathing normally again with no long-term damage to her health. It is with great pleasure I award the life-saving ribbon to Deputy Brock Byington. We can get Deputy Francis stepping forward. This is Deputy of the Year in the Jail Division. Oh, sorry, missed one. Come on up, Francis. You can come stand up here, but this isn't your award. Jordan Hopkins, come, Deputy Hopkins. Life-Saving Award. On February 26, 2020, Deputy Jordan Hopkins was dispatched to a medical in Nibley. Upon his arrival, he found a male had overdosed on heroin and immediately started CPR. When emergency responders arrived, they were able to administer Narcan and the patient began to breathe on his own. The patient is expected to make a full recovery. It is with great pleasure I award the life-saving ribbon to Deputy Jordan Hopkins. Okay, Francis, now it's your turn. Stand up here and be proud. Deputy of the Year for the Jail Division. The Deputy of the Year award is presented to a deputy or other staff member for exceptional or distinguished service during the year. Deputy Francis is known to many at the Sheriff's Office as not only a co-worker but also a good friend. A friend that is willing to drop everything and give anything to help a co-worker who is in need. Over the past year, Deputy Francis has been credited with being there for an individual who was in immediate peril, who just needed a friend to pull them back from the brink. Deputy Francis immediately put everything in his life on hold to obtain the help for this individual. This individual credits Deputy Francis for saving their life during their darkest hours. It is with great pleasure I award the Deputy of the Year for the Jail Division to Deputy Jeremy Francis. Okay, we could get Deputy Bryce Chestnut working his way up here. Deputy of the Year Award, Deputy of the Year for the Patrol Division. On May 25th, 2019, Logan City Police Department received a call regarding a missing child and her uncle. After a few hours, a tip came in that may have seen the uncle at the Maverick in Wellsville. Deputy Bryce Chestnut decided to patrol a remote area to the south and noticed the uncle walking on a road and made contact with him. Later, blood evidence was found on the uncle that ultimately tied him to the death of the 5-year-old child. Had it not been for his intuitive response, this case might have taken an entirely different path. And it is with great pleasure I award the Deputy of the Year Award to Deputy Bryce Chestnut. And I think that's it. These are just a few of the wonderful, great things that our deputies do every year, but there's thousands and thousands of positive impacts that our staff make every day on the citizens in our community. It's unfortunate in times like this that we only hear about the horrible things that happen in law enforcement, and I'm proud to be able to stand for these guys today and with all these staff members today and recognize the outstanding work that they do every single day. So thank you for allowing the time. One other thing we're going to do, and I'll pass these out for you as well, is in October, we've authorized our deputies to wear these pins for Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. So they will have them on their uniforms, and I'd be happy to pass these out to each one of the council members if you would like to wear them in respect for breast cancer awareness as well. If I can just pass these to Jadine, she'll come out. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for your time, and let us crash your party.
Thank you.
And if you don't mind, we'll probably, most of us exit out of here, so if you can give us a couple minutes, we can give you your council meeting back.
All right. Thank you, Sheriff Jensen, and thanks to all of you wonderful deputies, and on behalf of our county council, you are very much appreciated, admired, and respected. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome, thank you.
And what a profound sense of gratitude I have. How great it is, right? You've got a well-run department, you got a good community, great interaction. It's just blessed, man, happy. Start thinking through what they've done, been involved in. That Reed Tanner lives up in my neighborhood. And then there's all the boys around. He's quite a character. Good. That guy was at when we did Davenport Road. Yeah, wasn't he there? Not this most.
All right. Is Josh Barnett here tonight? Okay, we are going to delay item 7C to our next meeting. So we'll move on to Department and Committee reports and have a report on the 2020 Cache County Fair and Rodeo by Lane Parker and Lamont Polson. So we'll invite you to come up and report on a wonderful fair. No spikes in COVID until school started, so we can't blame the fair.
People trying to.
Well, let's not, Lamont give his report first.
Okay,
I got all kinds of papers here, but I don't know whether I need any of them. What's that?
Give it to
You
him.
want it all? You know, first off, this was an emotional and a great fair. There was a lot of work went into it. Lane and I probably spent more time together, and I know I did with Craig and Janine and the county council and the fair board and different things. And I recognize that. Well, I actually had one person say, "Is it true that you said over your dead body there wouldn't be a fair and rodeo?" And I probably did, but I can't remember that, but I was certainly glad we had it. I want to express my appreciation to Scott and Trish, their support, and everybody. Mainly the county council, our county attorney's office, and everybody involved, the health department. You know, we met a lot, and just cover a few of those things. We pressed forward. I, probably spent more time than I had in the past attending other rodeos and different things and seeing what was happening in the country. And so we was able to go forward. It was obvious that when we met and had the fair and rodeo that we did the right thing. When you looked in the eyes of the people, the kids and everybody that was there and participating, there was a feeling that just radiated. This year, it was interesting because of the lack of rodeos, so I'm giving you a little bit of history with what happened this year. Financially, the rodeo went off good, so I'll just lay that out. So I was expecting a crash and burn, somewhat. I remember saying that if we couldn't sell tickets, we'd have a peaceful demonstration, and then we could fill 10,000 people in the stands. Salt Lake proved that. So anyhow, all this stuff was going on. And because of it, not very often do we have what they call the pro judges in the PRCA, and we had 2 of them here. Because they didn't have enough rodeos for them to go to, they forced them to go to rodeos that they didn't. And I remember the one was he was from California, and he was talking to me, and he says, you're going to see what we've seen in California. And California had a lot of backlash and different things. And the first rodeo to take place down there was an amateur rodeo, but they packed it, and the people come in, and I never forget him telling me, what you're going to notice, because we start before the people really get there, you're going to see the smiles on their faces. And that's what he recognized down there. So I think it's important that you hear some of those things. Another thing that's important, and it was an honor to have our police force here tonight, because with what else is happening in the country, we had an opportunity to recognize our police force in the rodeo. Trish ordered, we was grateful that they come in, but we was able to get the police flags, and we run those with our military flags, and they all have theme songs, and I'll talk to Sheriff about that, but I guess the police don't. So we selected between us the song for them, which is "You Got to Stand for Something." And if there's anything that we did this year as a community, we stood for something that we needed to have, and I'm proud of everybody for that. And then honored them. And every rodeo that you've seen and gone for has had a prayer and the national anthem. Just like tonight here in this meeting, you had the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. And that happens everywhere, and it continues. But the ovation probably was the highlight during the rodeo of our national anthem and the prayer. And I hope you spotted that. Those are the things that I recognized. And if you watch the Cowboy Channel, like I do, that is happening all over the country where rodeos is taking place. And I hope that radiates out. Utah was recognized the other night in Nephi and on the national channel because as the extreme, isn't that the final? There's two. The final for the extreme bulls for the PRCA is normally held in Washington. Well, we don't need to talk about what's happening up there. So they was not able to have it. And right after Nephi, who fought but went ahead and had their rodeo, they jumped on board, went to PRCA, and that community rounded up money and pulled together for that Extreme Bulls, which was last Sunday. And during that, it was talked about, and the state of Utah was mentioned in there as one of the main states that was able to go forward and pushing this, and rodeos and that. So there's a little history of what's transpired. I think it's tradition. We've had a lot of years, and Lane will talk about the part of the other part of our fair, which I've been around this thing for 30 plus years, and I express my appreciation to Jill Zollinger, to Kim, that I've worked with for, we're not going to talk about how many years that is, Kim, because that's a lot. And so it's all of us together, and I just appreciate it. Is there any questions for me?
Thank you, Lamont. We
Okay.
appreciate the hard work that you do.
We had 4 rodeos this year. What do you think moving forward? Are we going to plan on the 4 nights?
4 nights,
again?
yes.
Are you? Okay.
We had, I was going to bring some of that up, but we looked at it, and even with that, so we reached out quite a bit there financially, and was still able to cover the costs. And yet when we got done with, and anytime you start something new, the Wednesday night, then after people say, golly, why didn't I know that was here, you know? And I don't know how far you can reach out, but I would hope that you would support that and continue, and because I think that helped build the others, and some of our constituents around Tremont and that we have to stay close with. I know they've been promoting that, and ironically enough, they're on their 3rd year, wasn't it? Maybe 4th, but we had as many. They put a lot of other stuff in, so ours was quick, and I think people like that. And And so we had as many attend our Wednesday night rodeo as they did, which was interesting to me. So I felt like that was a huge success to us, and I hope you support that to continue.
Did it sell out Saturday and Friday? Is that right?
Saturday was a total sellout before. Thursday and Friday was right there. It was interesting with the family pack, and so I think we could do some things to promote the Wednesday. The Thursday night was actually leading Friday and Saturday through the sales when people was really convinced we was actually going to pull it off. And then the sales took off. So this year we probably sold more tickets at the fairgrounds and the rodeo, but yeah, it was really close. Sold out Thursday and Friday, and Saturday it was. They told me there wasn't seats available. Okay?
I went Saturday and it was super fun.
Yeah, I felt, well, it was like going to the NFR. And I mean, I don't know if we can duplicate that. But.
Well, Lamont, thank you. I peeked in it every night and went one night, and it was marvelous. Thank you very, very much.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Well, I just couldn't say enough about, what happened with so much of the fair. Obviously focuses back on the rodeo, and there was just a lot of other things that Lamont and his committee put together that made it that successful. This was a change up with the ticket sales too, so that was, the online ticket sales was a lot easier to track. There was a lot of things that brought into it that made it possible. Again, with the COVID thing, why we could have gone back and traced every seat had we needed to, and we were never asked. So that was a huge thing in the end. That was a big part of it, and the like you said, the NFR. If you go to the NFR, if you kept those day sheets from our rodeo and compare them to who ends up at the NFR, provided they have it, Vegas I guess will let them, but you'll see those same names. I mean, they're Louisiana, Kentucky, Illinois, and all those cowboys out of Texas that have never been to Utah before. Literally, there was many of them who showed up, and the sheriff was telling me afterwards that these guys from different states, first time they'd ever been to Utah, and after the rodeo, they said, "Where's the beer bar?" Well, there's the Owl uptown, but I'm sorry, we don't have a beer garden at this one. Really? Where are we? But in the end, it was really, he said as he talked with those contestants, so that's a whole other sideline out here, but how they felt about how they were treated, even though, it was kind of out of the norm for them, and they stepped up and said, hey, this is a pretty cool deal. We'll try to put, Utah, Cache Valley back on our, run for next year. So, kudos again to the rodeo and what a big part of it is to the whole community thing. And adding that extra day, again, that was kind of a quick thought thing. Let's see if we can make this happen. And yeah, the phone was burning up. I was talking to them all the time. Oh, I just got off the phone with the PRCA, and another call. I just got off the phone with the PRCA and one of these directors and that director. And it took a lot to bring in that other day to get that extreme broncs. And so there's a lot of effort went into that. And I think that next year we'll be able to have that, out in front of us to promote. But for the other aspects of the fair, of course, the distancing and the mask and everything like that, I can't say enough about the staff at the event center. That was a big part of, well, how can we do this? We're bringing them everybody indoors, and how are we gonna do that? Well, the staff there at the event center, Ron, Cassidy, they really stepped up, and I mean, a month and a half in advance, 2 months, why Ron had a floor plan. Okay, we're gonna direct traffic this way, we're gonna come in this door, we're gonna go out that door, and for checking in items, we're gonna use this door and that door for checking things in, and he was on top of it. And just really lined it out. And so when the fair came, why, yeah, there was arrows on the floor and directed everybody around, and it just, it was super smooth. The anticipation of whatever, he just came to the head right away. I'd stop in, many times a week and just visit about this thing, and he always had another idea. What about this? Let's look at this. And of course, we're jumping, nobody knew how bad or how good it could be by the time the fair pulled off. So he was right on top of it. And then, the vendors, which was, it really is it's a huge income source. When you get right down to it, there's a lot of dollars come in through those vendors. And so Margaret, she was definitely my right hand on that one. She was right on top of it. We had her and I contacted almost daily as we started off with big numbers, and she was in constant contact with those vendors saying, okay, here's our situation, and we were constantly updating that. And not to put them out, but yet certainly wanting as many vendors as we could to come. Out of the 140, 50 that we had the year before, we were down to about, was it 58? 50 to 60 vendors that actually showed up. And they did extremely well. All of the food vendors completely sold out. So they did extremely well. The ones that, backed it up and wanted to be there. So I really can't say enough about them stepping up and supporting us, as well as Margaret working through all of that. And she would constantly was setting up to space them out as we lost another one. And we would constantly, goes back to the whole aspect of, the carnival. And we wanted to have that aspect, but we knew we had to have some restrictions on that. So I was often on the phone with Brown's Amusement out of Arizona, and it's where I don't think they really like my phone calls after a while. But we don't really know anymore. Well, what about this? Well, we don't really know yet. But we were in constant contact there, and so when it got closer and closer to the wire, letting vendors know that, we may not have a big nighttime show, especially on that Saturday event that had been so big the year before. We had the officers, the Sheriff's Department says we figured 2,400 people on the lawn the year before. Well, we're not going to have that, and so that's a big deal to the vendors. And not having the carnival to bring people in every night. Kids are in the carnival, the mom and dad are walking the booths. And so not having that, we were in constant contact, and so a lot of them said, well, keep my money for next year. I want to be, I don't want to be out of the loop, but, financially it just doesn't look like it'll work this year. So certainly we respect that, and next year we'll make sure that those people that, said, please keep me on the agenda, that we're back in contact with them. I'll go on to the Junior Livestock, we'll come back to Carnival. The Junior Livestock Show, again, that was lots of meetings there. Some of the parents, and certainly my children, I don't know whether I want to do this. And that had to start clear back in, December, buying calves. So some of those parents, this thing hadn't come to fruition at all in December, where they're buying a, $800, $1,000 calf that they're going to feed all the way till August. And they get into this February thing and they're saying, well, what am I, do we go on with this? Do I just sell this calf now or stay with it? And so the Junior Livestock, we had lots of phone calls. Do we buy the lambs for our kids? Do we buy the pigs for their projects? And put that big investment into it, because a lot of the fairs, as we got closer, started dropping and weren't even going to have their Junior Livestock program. And so my Junior Livestock Committee, they really got their own thing going. And I just tried to stay in touch with them. And they then fully went online with the event or fair entry. And I got to hand to Dave and those who stepped up. And we're third year putting this thing together, but they really stepped up to it this year. When we did the weigh-ins, everything was just done. And then at the show, as soon as I usually go in and I try to watch as many of the different shows that are going on at one time, and they were scanning barcode and stuff, and as soon as that last animal walked out of the ring, it's judged. Show's already on the books. We knew who the winners were. It was tabulated just like that. And so that was, the Junior Livestock Committee. But, and Janessa, I should have had her here. She just did a fabulous job there. She pulled that off to make that Junior Livestock Committee look really good. just a lot of great people down the line that made that happen. And so it came time for the auction, and we started off with that premise that, okay, we're going to ask everybody, recommend that you wear masks, and we're going to social distance. We're going to put the buyers in this section so they feel comfortable, and then we're going to keep this section for family and friends, and ask them to come in and go back out. And after just a few animals, like, forget that. We're all here for the night, and it just was phenomenal. We had buyers we haven't had before that stepped up and said, hey, we're going to make sure these kids get taken care of. And they really did. Dave could probably tell you, because I haven't got that final tabulation from Junior Livestock, but it was by far the best auction we've ever had. And so I just can't say enough good about the community and how they came together for that part of it as well. And so with all of that, for me anyway, this was really a fun fair. First that it finally came off, and then during the whole week, why I just didn't have any real problems. There just weren't as many people running around. The parking wasn't near as bad. We had all those great big rigs coming in, those people that live on the road, and they come in with those 40-foot outfits, and we had room to park them because we didn't have the carnival there. All right, and so, okay, we'll start weighing this thing. And we come back to the carnival, and so what did we lose by not having the carnival? Well, that big Saturday night show. We were lined up to have, who was it? The big Saturday night show. Little Texas. Yeah, Little Texas. This was going to be like their first time to leave Nashville. Okay, they were all excited to leave Nashville. So we were all set up. We could have had them if we'd have stepped up and paid the whole thing. But the carnival, I got to hand it to them. Browns have always stepped up, and they've said, okay, we'll bring in these big acts, and we'll pay the biggest percentage of them. So that has been, because we don't charge any admission for that. So that wasn't going to be there. And then Saturday night, the carnival's not going to be there. And that came down to the last wire. And they literally, as we were talking with them on the phone, says, hey, you're still invited, but you obviously have to make that decision. He says, well, literally, he says it cost us $100,000 to register all our vehicles to leave home. With all of their overload permits and everything that they do, he says, for us to drive out the driveway. And he says, that's nothing to say about the liability policy that we have sitting there ready to instigate it, but that policy covers a year. Well, we can't go to one show. So that's really what it boiled down to, but they were super appreciative that we, kept it out there for them. So that becomes my big question for next year that we've still got a lot of discussion on, because I had multiple people and many in this room who came up and said, boy, this was sure nice without all the extra parking we had and all the extra, less confusion and for the sheriff's office. Sheriff Jensen just the other night said, this was great. He says, we only had one drunk. He says, that's a record for the fair. Oh, okay. I don't watch that side too much, but it was, he says, that was pretty cool. It's all right with me if we don't have the carnival. Well, just to end with that, because we don't really have time to go over finances, but they bring at least $40,000 cash at the end of the day. That's just the carnival, and that's not all the vendors that would come if the carnival was there, how well they do if they're not. I really appreciate all of you as a council, because I constantly got calls from people saying, how'd you pull it off? And I said, hey, I got a council that was behind us. That's just right down to the bone. They were behind us, and I knew it. And the county executive Craig was just super. That says, let's make this thing happen. And every time I talked to any one of you individually or as a group, it was like, let's make it happen. And so I kudos to all of you, and I be happy to do it again. So a little different circumstance. Let's do it again. Any questions?
Thank you, Lane, very much. Did you have a question, Barbara?
I just wanted to say that the first day that I walked in there, it felt right. It was the right thing to do. And so, thank you.
Yeah, well, it was. Well, thanks to all the committee and the chairs. I was going to say, we actually had a virus that shut down the rabbit show. I don't know whether y'all knew that. If you went to the rabbit barn and people would come in and say, no rabbits, what are we going to do? Well, the kids want to see the rabbits. They literally had a virus in the rabbit population in the western United States. I'm not sure they're through the whole thing.
It wasn't COVID.
Was it? Although we didn't swab their nose, I'm not sure. But literally, there wasn't a rabbit show anywhere in the western United States, and so we didn't have the rabbit show. Maybe they'll be past that virus by next year too, and we'll get some rabbits back to the market. But anyway, thanks, Phil.
Lane, thank you for that. One thing really quick, I've been saying all along, you know, we've been focusing on the one piece, the public health piece. But what we need to focus on as a community is the social piece, the mental health piece, the economic piece. Life is more than one thing. And I thought about that. As exciting as the rodeo was and as phenomenal as it was, the best moment for me was there was a young lady in the valley that's had a tough time. And I was there Wednesday night, and I was walking through the barns, and she was there kind of learning how to show a little hog. And I just looked at that and I thought, this is why we did all this, to give those kids and to give this community something to celebrate rather than get down. And I couldn't be more proud of what we done. And we looked at and I know you looked at it, we worked with the health department. It wasn't reckless, it wasn't crazy. We did what we needed to do, and just, it was beautiful for Cache Valley. Sorry, Dave, I stepped on you.
No, I was gonna just mention contestant chatter, which happens, you know, with all the rodeo people that travel everywhere. They talk to each other and they say, hey, they talk about one rodeo versus another rodeo. And a real good friend of ours is on that PRCA circuit, and she was telling us about how the ladies that she had, that she races against, the ones that came here, like Cache County was the rodeo this year. It was like, as far as professionally treated, professionally done, and purse winning, and it was just like that was the place to go. She participated in the one over there in Box Elder, and she won that one over there. But she felt like, and there's some of the ladies that participated here and there, and they felt like, hey, we were by far the better rodeo. Just the one that had the best feel, the camaraderie. And then they kept talking, and she said that a lot of them were mentioning about community. And I have to reiterate what you're saying there, is that the character, I thought the character of the Cache County community really came out this year. Not just support, but just, who we are, and how we can, be honest with you, how we can put faith before fear, and
there you go. And
we can just make it happen.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I appreciate definitely working with you, gentlemen.
Some of the dollars, which we should throw out a little, because I do have them in my mind, Craig asked me, but we with the one he was asking me, put fear in me. I think Trish thought I'd lost my marbles when I called her and said, we're going to do another night of rodeo. But in our meeting, Lane brought that out, and Jeannie, you brought it out because you was there, when we talked about if we've got a distance, then we need to maybe, what about another night? And I've been waiting for that, and so when Lane and Craig give me one little speck of vision, he's right. By the next day or a couple days later, I had it approved, and that was no easy feat. I had to talk to the director, Isaac Diaz, is the saddle bronc director out of Texas, and we was competing with one in South Dakota. And I says, yeah, but that's South Dakota. I've already talked to the Wright boys and the ones here, and they want one here. So that tells you what happened. But that was about a $30,000 ad. And so when we got all done, our dollars come in. We're under budget in the expenditures, and we generated with the ticket sales and everything close to $200,000. We paid out over $150,000 in prize money. The sale, which I do have, we was $91,000 higher than the year before, with 35 less animals, and a poorer market. So the kids' the value of their animals was not as good as the year before. And not by just a little bit on some of those. What's that?
And not by just a little bit in the floor market prices.
No.
It was some of those species that was just, theirs was obliterated, their market.
And the other thing that would surprise you is with this, how many people in our community was purchasing them for home use? The problem is it takes you till May or June, but because of the fair, we had kill dates. That doesn't sound good, but that's what they are. Kill dates for those.
Processing dates,
Processing.
harvest dates, I guess that's.
Harvest dates, there you go.
That's what an ag teacher has, and that's. He teaches the correct, I just tell you the reality. But anyhow, thanks to everybody, and the community, you know, everybody. Craig, it's a pleasure, and yeah, we'll just keep going. And everybody I talked to, clear across the country, asked just what Lane said. How in the world did you do that? And it's because of you. That's it. Had you not, and I know the criticism you did, and I elected to not read any of the criticism that come into me later on, but it all went away. And it was worth every bit of the chastisement that we might have taken because of the good of the people. And I appreciate the police force loaning us that officer and that dog Saturday night.
Oh, that was cool.
You seen that?
That really went all over the place. I was in Star Valley today and I heard about it.
I was just glad I made sure I got out of the road.
But yeah,
Thanks.
you started an applause, let's finish it.
I just look out here at the people from the different departments. Danny's walking out the door, and Ang here, and Cameron, and you know the departments, you know, finance especially, that I was back and forth with, and the officers that you know helped us along, and we couldn't have done it without that kind of support in the back. Every one of those offices, when I walked into them, I got greeted with a smile, and it was great. So thank you.
Thank you all. Okay, let's do it again, right?
Indeed.
Okay, 10A, we need to set a public hearing for October 13th at 5:30 for ordinance 2020-09, Paradise Dry rezone request. We have a motion to set the public
Mr. Chairman, I
hearing.
make a motion that we set a public hearing for October 13th, 2020 at 5:30 for ordinance 2020-09, Paradise Dry rezone.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, we have a public hearing scheduled for 6 o'clock at Resolution 2020-23. How about right on time? Amending the 2020 Cache County budget. This is a public hearing, and we have reviewed the budget and a budget workshop last week, and with some changes to some of the categorizations of expenditures and from on revenues, and it is a public hearing. So if there's someone who would like to address these county budget amendments, we'd invite you to come forward. Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second it.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay, initial proposals for consideration. Resolution 2020-23, amending the 2020 Cache County budget.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we, let's see, it's initial, so we need to waive the rules, right?
Uh-huh.
We waive the rules and accept Resolution 2020-23. That's a tongue twister. Amending the 2020 Cache County budget.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That resolution passes. We also have another proposal to consider approval of the Cache County Capital Improvement Plan, which we reviewed in our last meeting. It's not a resolution number, but it still requires a vote.
I just have one thing
Bryce.
in that. Well, was Bryce going to say something about it? He's on the back making paper airplanes.
I was wondering where that snoring was back there. Fell asleep. Oh.
Oh, this is the final.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And there's a lot of detail in here. Thanks to all the departments for their
And just-
efforts in putting that kind of detail together for us.
Just
Even
briefly,
pictures.
if you could turn to project number, I believe it's 27. Yeah, it is, it's 27. In our budget committee meeting this past week, we had a discussion about this item and briefly touched on the need to build a dog impound facility here in the county. And some of those discussions that we talked about that probably should happened within that meeting. And I wish the sheriff was here to talk a little bit more about it, and maybe that's something we can do. But we put in here $60,000 to allow them to start moving forward with this and get some plans drawn up. And so I wanted to make you aware that those dollars were put in here based upon the discussion we had in that committee. But I believe, and maybe you want to reiterate what you asked for, Gina.
Yes, it's hard for me to look at this and know exactly how much money we need to put toward that and how much shelter is needed. And I thought it would be good if Sheriff Jensen came to the council and talked about the needs. And because before we had talked about $1.5 million, as I recall, and I'd like to have him come and just give us more details about what he's thinking and what our needs are, so that we can give him the number that we're good with, and then he can move forward.
So.
But, and Bryce, as I understand this right, we're saying we're gonna put $60,000 toward the architectural and the planning of it, because there's no question that we're gonna need an impound facility.
Yes.
And so we're gonna do that now, and then we're gonna get the sheriff in here to say, here's the different options that we'd have. Do we build it for a couple years? Do we put more into it so we can fund it out further into the future as we grow, which is something we definitely.
And this is more of a suggestion than anything really. The authority to do this has to come from the council. So it hasn't been done. It's just in here as a suggestion that we should potentially move on this, but nothing in here is finalized or bound to by the council. It's merely a suggestion moving forward. So.
Essentially, this is approval of the plan. This isn't approval to
Correct.
Spend these funds.
That is correct.
So this is such a great thing to have, in my opinion. After being here for almost 6 years, it's great to have Bryce here to be able to focus on this need, and we've had it for a long time. And he has the ability and the resources to put all these things together. I think we ought to pay close attention to it, look at it. I don't expect it to be approved tonight. Of course, I wasn't at the last meeting, so I'm not sure what level of comfort you have here, but I think it'd be a good idea to take a close look at it. And if you want to approve it tonight, that's the council's prerogative, but I'm going to be taking a lot closer look at it. And this will have a good impact for the next 10, 15 years on what the county does moving forward with our capital projects. So.
Well, if we approve it tonight, we take all the wind out of John White's sails to complain about it, don't we?
Well, and again, as Craig pointed out, we don't have to approve it tonight.
Yes, that's correct.
If we want to take some more time and read through this, digest it, I read through the draft plan fairly carefully. I didn't have anything that I was uncomfortable with. But.
Just a few things that I would also point out. On the third page of the document, after the table of contents, there's a page that should help you use the document. So it kind of goes into detail about what's on each of these individual pages. If you have any questions about what we're including in here, this should help with that. And so as you go through the document, using the document, the page on page 3 of this should help with that. And then in addition to that, I've talked and I visited with Cameron Jensen, and next year we're going to have finance be a lot more involved in this process. And so you'll notice many of the projects that are in the future years are listed as unfunded, even though we're probably planning on doing several of them. But finance, when we work with the departments to get the different projects, it's good if we can have finance help with that, because then they can start to make plans on where those funds are going to come from for each of those projects. And rather than listing them as unfunded, we'll have an idea of where those funds are going to come from. So moving forward, we intend to use this a lot more and to develop it even further than what this is.
Bryce, as we look at this and we work through it, when we are looking like through, even with the 2021 budget, and as we work through those, as we see the departments, what monies they're using, could they flag Project 28? And list what it is so that, you can always correlate it with this working document. Does that make sense?
Yeah, if you feel like that would be helpful, we can
That would probably help.
coordinate with the finance department.
Maybe you're already doing it, you give them a name in that, but, where it follows a document that we may be approving here in a couple of weeks, or I think it'd be very helpful that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good suggestion.
Good suggestion, yep. Okay.
Okay,
Bryce, thanks for all your work on this.
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Yeah, and they were very helpful, so
Other business, tomorrow, we have the USAC Fall Conference tomorrow and Thursday in Midway. Craig, Carl, Barbara, Dave, Paul, and Gina. All of us still going, I guess. Thanks, Janine, for pulling all this together.
Live and in color.
I know, what a deal that is. And then the UAC Annual Convention in November in St. George. I think every one of us have signed on to do that, and we're inviting Nolan as well because he will be joining us in January. And I hope that Dave, Barbara, and Gina and I will all be joining too. Okay, council member reports. Paul?
I just appreciate being here. Keep it short. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
It was a wonderful. To see
Gina.
the sheriff's department was great. To see the fair was great. Just reminds you of what a great community we have.
I just appreciate the sheriff's office coming, and they always do such a wonderful job with the flag ceremony. Makes me really think about how glad I am to be an American and the freedoms we have, and then to hear the awards and the great people that we have working in the sheriff's office, and the dedication of our deputies, I think was fantastic to hear.
Thank you. Barbara?
Just one little thing, I'm on the Trails Committee, and she's been asking for volunteers to go out and stand at an intersection and make little tick marks on bikes and bicyclists and people walking, and I went and did that yesterday at 5th North and 2nd East, and I'm not sure just how she's going to conclude the study, but it was kind of interesting to watch to see what goes on at each of the intersections.
Dave?
I found it when Deputy Ricks, we got 2 of them out of the 20 that's from Cache County, call them almost sharpshooters. Tanner Ricks is one of my old students. I hope he likes me. But, no, that's, we do have some, quality, quality people. And I was talking with Tanner, Reed, Tanner, and earlier, and he's invited me again to go on another ride along with him. He's on the graveyard shift now, and I'd urge all of you to, take that invitation as it comes to you, or just extend it out. And if you want to really learn what, you can get some deep appreciation real fast out there on that. So, and then I will say that our fair and rodeo, we were watched over. That's what I'll just say that. So it was pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
So, appreciate it.
Thank you very much. On trails, I'll just comment, I didn't even know they did this, but there is mountain biking races that go on the high school level. And Beaver Mountain has a tremendous mountain biking course. And we went up there Saturday to watch a grandson. And that place was absolutely packed. There were people that had to park. They parked at an angle in the inside lane of the road because there wasn't enough parking up in the main parking area, even though they'd opened up a lot of the ski area to park on. And I don't know how many people there, but there were thousands. And everybody was required to wear a mask. So the bikers could take it off when they started a race, but they had to put it back on after. And that was a requirement of the health department in order for them to do it. But everybody complied. And it was a very comfortable group of people to be around. And it brought a lot of people to Cache County from all over the Wasatch Front. So, yeah.
I might add, I was there early in the morning for that also. And it was interesting to me, that was the first high school mountain biking competition that they've allowed anyone to attend that wanted to be there. Prior, I think each race, I think each individual could have one or two family members there to watch them.
That was all.
But this is the first one they opened up to everyone that wanted to attend. And I think that's one reason everybody was really diligent in wearing a mask, because they wanted to be there. And they wanted to be there for future events too. So I think that was good. It was a great event.
It was a great event.
And one other thing I think I'd add on that, because I don't mountain bike nor do I run unless I'm chased, but we did have the Logan Marathon on Saturday.
Yeah.
And that actually sold out. I was kind of on the marathon committee, and they sold out all the marathon spots. So it is now the longest continually running marathon in Utah. It was the only one this year. So we do it next year. We've got the longest continually running marathon in the state of Utah.
That's what they call a marathon, don't they?
It would seem to go forever. I don't know why you'd ever do something that the genesis of it was somebody crossed the finish line and died. I figured that would tell you not to do them anymore.
I've got a suggestion for you, Paul. Next year we'll have a bear-a-thon. We'll get a bear to chase you at 26 miles.
I might finish it at that.
Record time.
And then I can do like the first marathon and drop dead.
All right. If there's nothing else, I guess next on the agenda is to adjourn. So thanks to everybody.